Hello, and welcome to the Godly Playroom at First United Church in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. My name is Ruth Lummox. My preferred pronouns are they, them, and I get to be here to tell a story with you. You're going to notice a few changes when you come into the Godly Playroom next. It is that season when everything changes. So, I wonder what you need to help you be ready today. You might like to have a candle to light. You might like to have some art materials, something to work with in response to the story, or perhaps something for feast. It doesn't have to be a lot. I think I have just a glass of water today. There's a lot going on in our building this past week and this coming week. And I need some space and time just to sit and be ready to enter the story. I've been getting ready so many other things. We've gotten ready for our Carol Festival, and so lots of decorating upstairs in the sanctuary. We've been getting ready to hand out all the Rancho Vignola dried fruit and nut orders, so a lot of packing and sorting and talking with people. And getting ready for some of the extra services that happen in this Advent and Christmas season. So that's what I kind of need today. And I wonder what will help you be ready. Maybe we just take a few deep breaths. Know that you can pause the video at any time if you need to get yourself more ready or aren't quite able to carve out enough space for it in its entirety today. Maybe take another deep breath. And when you're ready, come on into the circle. Welcome into the circle. I hope you found everything that you needed to help you be ready this morning. As you can see, we can see by the clock on the wall that we are into the time of the color blue. Sometimes we call this the season of Advent. And Advent means coming. You can see we are getting ready this 4 weeks of this blue season to help us get ready for the mystery that is Christmas. And I think there are a few other things that have changed in this room as well. So there are our story materials if you want to find them when you're in the Godly Playroom to work with them. There are the candles and the cards and the underlay and the model for Bethlehem. And that shelf is just alongside the focal shelf. Oh, the colors have changed there already. But there's the Holy Family, who are also part of today's story. Let's see if, oh yes, something else has changed in color. So, I wonder if you're ready for a story. Last week we heard the story of the Holy Family, and today's story includes the Holy Family and some other materials. But before that, there's something we still need to do to help us be ready. You might want to get your candle and we'll light it together. We remember that once there was someone who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people began to follow him. And the more they followed him, the more they wondered who he was. And so one time they just had to ask, "Who are you?" And one time, when they asked him that question, He said, "I am the light. Watch how that light grows when it's shared." I enjoy the lights so much at this time of year. It won't be too much longer though, and we'll slowly start to have a few more daylight hours each day. But for now, I'm going to put the candle back up on the shelf so that it won't get in the way of the story. So, everything has changed. Now is the time of the color blue. Blue reminds us of the Mother Mary, who said yes to God, and without whom that baby might not have been born. That baby would grow to be a king. But he wasn't like any kind of king the people expected. He didn't live in a palace. He didn't have an army or gold. That king would come as a baby, born in a stable. The king who was coming is still coming, and that's a bit of a mystery. People can walk right through a mystery and not even know it's there. It's hard to enter into mystery, which is why the season of Advent is so important. It helps us get ready to enter into such a great mystery as Christmas. Advent means coming. And that one who was coming is still coming. And so we need a way to help us be ready. Because some people don't even notice. They just walk right through that mystery without even seeing it. You might see them at this time of the year, in the malls or at the stores, buying this, doing that, hurrying here and there. They're very busy, but they might not be getting ready to enter the mystery. Perhaps they've forgotten how, or maybe they never learned. The church learned a long time ago that people need a way to get ready to enter into the mystery of Christmas. And so they set aside the 4 weeks before Christmas, called Advent, as a time of intentional getting ready. And during that time, we're all on a journey to Bethlehem. We're getting ready. So let's go. With the Holy Family, the shepherds, the angels, the magi, and the prophets who help show us the way. We are on this journey that is not just back then, but now. On this first Sunday of Advent, we remember the prophets. And we light one candle to help us remember. Here is the hand of the prophets pointing the way. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but they knew something special would happen in Bethlehem. Prophets say, stop, watch, pay attention. Something amazing is about to happen. Here is the light of the prophets. Prophets are people who come so close to God, and God comes so close to them that they know the most important things. They help show us the best way. They show us the way to go to Bethlehem. Let's enjoy this light. In this second week of Advent, we remember the Holy Family. And we light 2 candles. Can you see Bethlehem here? The Holy Family was also on their way. They must have been some of the last folks traveling up this road to Bethlehem. Here is the Mother Mary. And the Father Joseph. And the donkey that Mary rode. Mary was about to have a baby. And it's not easy to walk when you're about to have a baby, so sometimes she would get on the donkey and ride. But it's not easy to ride a donkey when you're about to have a baby either. And so sometimes she would get off and walk. They walked and she rode all that long, long way. Here's the light of the Holy Family. Now there is more light to enjoy. I wonder if there is something in your home that you might like to get or to remember to add to this story. Perhaps you know a prophet, or maybe you are one. Or there are people who help point the way for you, who help show you the best way to live. Maybe you're thinking about family at this time of year. Or some of those extended family folk, those friends maybe that we don't see as often. Or people traveling. Maybe you're making plans to travel. So many ways for us to enter this story. But watch what happens when I change the light, so that it isn't just in this one place or time, but it spreads out and fills this room. The light of the Holy Family and the light of the prophets. Oh. I'm going to put this story away, and you can begin to think what you might like to do in response. Maybe you've got some art materials. Maybe you have a special Christmas project you've been working on. You might just like to sit and write, or perhaps to sit and enjoy a light in your space. the light of the Holy Family. And the donkey that Mary rode, and the Mother Mary, and the Father Joseph, who both said yes to God. That's not always easy to do. And the card for the Holy Family, that second week in Advent. The light of the prophets. And the card from the prophets with that hand pointing the way. They pointed the way to Bethlehem. So many difficult things going on in that part of the world then and now. Perhaps this Advent, our journey is even more precarious and more special. Welcome back. I wonder what you found for your art materials today. I was thinking about this is such a great story for us to be able to create our own story of it, or our own version of it, if we want to have one at home. So there are a lot of different ways you could do that. If you happen to have somebody who's handy at cutting out pieces of wood, you could actually make yourself the 4 wooden cards, or 5 actually, including the Mystery of Christmas. And you could paint on them, or you could use some of that sticky backed felt and put the felt on, or cut the felt out. I've seen people who have quilted cards. It was a little beyond me. You might even want to find a piece of cardboard or a piece of cardstock, and you could use bits of foam, right? And cut out the shapes that you want. So you'd need, your background is usually a lighter or a dark blue, and then your candles would be the other shade of blue, so whichever way you want to go. And some green for your wreath. There's always 1 pink candle. And your candle flame. And one of the cards, the card for Easter, or for Christmas itself, is usually white. It might be gold. And then I couldn't find any black foam, but brown would work. So you would have, I think, the shape of the road going into Bethlehem and the prophet's hand. There are a couple of other things that you might do in the brown. But I just thought it might be fun to color some. And so I have a box of crayons, which is always a good thing to have around the house. And I have cut out pieces of paper, and I could take those, and then when I'm done coloring, I can glue them onto a piece of wood, or podge them onto a piece of wood, or just glue them onto a piece of cereal box would work, just to give them a little more stiffness. So the first thing, if I'm going to do that first one, is I need to make a blue candle, and I kind of make that over here. So the first candle in Advent, right? And it has a flame. And then, oh, gotta get all my colors out so I can see them. I would probably have a wreath. Sometimes the wreath is round. And sometimes, I mean, wreaths can be different, right? However you want to do that. In some churches, even the color for Advent is different. It might be purple, the same as the color for Lent. purple is also a color sometimes associated with kings. Well, there's my wreath, my candle, and then there was the hand of the prophet, right? The hand of the prophet. So the hand kind of looks like this, and it's got that finger pointing out, a bit of a sleeve. It's kind of like it's not attached to the rest of the body, but it's there. So a hand that's pointing the way. And then we would just color blue in around the rest of this. What color's that blue? Oh, that's a good blue. And of course, if you're using felt or foam, you're going to need to cut out 5 wreaths, and they might all be the same. And you're going to need to cut out enough blue candles and enough pink candles so that you can tell the whole story. So that would be for our first week in Advent. And then, let's see, so then our second week in Advent. Oh, wrong blue. Crayons keep sneaking under there. We light a second candle. We still have our wreath. I wonder what kind of preparations go on around your house at this time of year. You got your Christmas tree up yet? Some people put them up very early, even before the end of November. But if you're putting up a real tree, you have to wait a little bit so that you can have it up for a bit before and after Christmas. And I know some people, and in some cultures, they don't put up a tree till Christmas Eve. And then they put it up and they decorate it, and it's up for the 12 days of Christmas, and then it comes down right away. But I'm going to make my Bethlehem brown in this case, just so that it shows up a little bit more to start with. Remember the Holy Family that were on their way to Bethlehem. I'm just going to put a window or two in here. Maybe a gate in the wall. And then we need my blue. There we go. If I had a piece of newspaper underneath this, then I wouldn't mind coloring right to the edges. But remember, if you're coloring on a table or something that matters, you want to put something under your work so that you don't color on the other surface. Crayon doesn't come off as good as like a watercolor paint. And so there we go. We've got our second Sunday in Advent all ready to go. And so you could just go ahead and make yourself a full set of cards and then see how you tell the story. Maybe even you have your own Holy Family and you'd like to tell that story, the one that we heard last week. I wonder where you are on this journey. It is not just back then, but is also now. It is about getting ready to enter a mystery. Not just checking all the boxes or making sure we've got all the gifts that we need. Those are important things. But what do we need to enter into this mystery that is Christmas? I'm going to put away the rest of my art materials, and I'll see you back here in a moment for feast. Let's say our prayers before we begin feast. I wonder if there's something for which you are particularly thankful for today. I am so very grateful for all the volunteers who do all that little bit of extra work at this time of year, whether that's sharing their gifts of music or helping pack and sort fruit and nuts, or serving at a funeral lunch, or helping get ready for services and concerts. So many different things and ways that people who are part of the Holy Family here at First United share their love of God and help others grow in their faith. So that's my big thank you for today. How about you? Amen. Well, like I said, my feast is pretty meager today. We're busy sorting all those fruit and nuts, and I was tempted to sneak a few so that I'd have something for my story today, but just gonna stick with the water, which is enough of a feast for me almost any time. I wonder if there are special things that you like to get ready at this time of year, special foods for feasting. We had our Christmas dinner as a congregation this past week, and that's always lots of fun to just get together as a big group of people and enjoy a good meal. And we're mindful of so many people for whom this is a hard time of year. All those extra expectations and expenses, and finances or money's a little bit tight. So I say an extra pair of gratitude for people who are generous and people who manage to be creative in the midst of some of those difficulties. I like to bake, usually. I like to bake cookies. Ginger snaps would be kind of our favorite go-to at Christmas. Some shortbread maybe. Sometimes if I get really organized, I make butter tarts. And caramel popcorn. That's kind of another favorite of ours. Caramel popcorn. And then we have something that we call caramel bobs. Caramel bobs, caramel blobs. It's kind of hard to tell. But essentially you melt Macintosh toffee or caramels in a double boiler and add a little bit of sweetened condensed milk. And then you take a marshmallow and you roll it in the caramel once it's soft, and then you roll it in Rice Krispies. And you put it on a tray, and we put them outside so they cool or they kind of freeze really fast. Oh, and they're not too sweet, they're just kind of nice, but you get that caramel and marshmallow flavor and yum. So those are some of our special treats. I don't do a lot of fancy decorating, icing, cookies, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people do, or fancy rosettes that are deep fried and they have a special little iron, and some people make all kinds of fancy and intricate Christmas treats. But mostly I like to bake with other people, and that's what makes it fun. So I hope whatever special foods you prepare for your Christmas season, that you get to do it with the people that you love, and that you sprinkle a little bit of extra love into it. And maybe, just maybe, you take the same amount of money you would spend baking for yourself or cooking for yourself, and you share that with someone else, either inviting someone else to join your feast or donating to one of the local food banks or agencies that will be providing meals, not just at Christmas, but all year round. Lots of ways for us to share the light. I think it's almost time for us to change the light. So let's take another deep breath together. Be grateful for the time that we have and the time to get ready to enter into this mystery that is Christmas. And watch what happens when I change the light, so that it isn't just in this one place or this time, but it can spread out and fill this room, find its way to wherever you are, into some of those dark, deep places that need a little extra light at this time of year. May we know ourselves loved and be loved by God. May we know enough safe places to risk much on God's behalf. May we make room wherever we travel this year, wherever we enter the mystery, for the Christ child, whose arms are open wide to give us all a hug. God bless, be well, and look after one another.